So I ended up having this time all to myself for the majority of the year in this little room for maths, and there was no worksheets or anything, just me. So I wrote a lot of stories in that time, and poems to girls that I liked. The thing was though, right, I'd write these lovely to the girls and these poems, talk about how lovely her hair was and her eyes and all this sort of stuff, really try and impress her. But my life wasn't so good. And when you're a teenager and life's not feeling so good, you get pretty dark. So my poems would always end off really quite dark and life sucks and all this sort of stuff. I wasn't feeling very positive. So then I'd go and find this girl and I'd say, hey, read my poem. So she'd read the poem, oh, that's lovely, oh, that's so nice. But she'd keep reading, oh, that's... Don't think so. You've got issues. I haven't got issues. I remember one time I got up in the morning, I didn't want to go to school. My dad looks at me, what's your problem? I don't want to go to school today. Why not? I had a falling out with my friend. We're going to fight. I don't want to fight him. My dad's advice. You go to school. You pick up a hunk of wood. And you whack that boy across the head with it. And if you don't do it, I'm going to give you a hiding when you get home. Now, I was just a kid, and I'm looking at my dad, and I'm thinking, man, you're not very clever, are you? There's something wrong with you. Because, we're pretty, you're clever, you're intelligent. You don't go and pick up a hunk of wood and whack some kid across the head with it. That's going to hurt. And you're going to get in a lot of trouble. I didn't want to hurt my friend. I didn't want to fight him. I knew what it felt like to be hurt. So, we can laugh about these sorts of things. And I believe it's important too, because it's such a serious thing. But also, it's such an absurd thing. I mean, a man telling me to pick up a hunk of wood and whack some kid across the head. Man, that's not clever. That is just not clever thinking. I didn't do it, of course. There's no way I was going to do that. Not stupid. So what I did was, here, I might not have been doing well at school, but I was certainly clever with a lot of stuff. That's just common sense. That's not even clever. That's just clear thinking. I was able to avoid my dad because he drank a lot. So he liked his drinking, and all you had to do was stay away from him. My sister had a way with Dad, because she was his only daughter. My family's mismatched all over. So he was his only daughter. So she was brilliant. When he was asleep or when he was drunk, that's when she asked him for money and things. She was only little, man. She'd be there. Oh, we want to go down the road, Dad. He's in bed. We want to go down the road. Okay, that's good enough. Let's go. Off we go. We get home. Where are you kids? I just look at my sister. You said we could go. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. You were asleep. You said yes. He's there. Oh. My son and my daughter, they have a completely different life experience to me. They have never been smacked. Not even a little bit in their whole life. They have no idea about it. But that means they have to put up with me talking. Sometimes I talk to them, and my son's like, oh, here we go. So in the future, I imagine they'll be complaining, man, he just went on and on. If anybody asks him, what was your dad like? He grew up with violence and stuff like this. He was hurt. What was he like as a dad? Man, I got to be careful sometimes. I went up to a school up north. And I was up north and I was talking about my family. This was a high school, so I was sharing a lot more than what I'm sharing today about what was going on in my family and stuff. And so I was sharing and I was talking away. I was in this big school, Bay of Islands College. I was up there and I'm talking away and my family, they've done some crazy things. They've been in the newspapers even, and my real dad spent most of his life in prison. He's not a nice guy, and all this sort of stuff. So I'm talking to these kids, trying to inspire them that even though these bad things happen, we still have a choice about what we do in life, and I'm talking away. I'm saying all this stuff, and then there's this family at the back, because some parents and that were there, and there's this family at the back, and the kids are all turning around looking at this family, and they're starting to look at each other, and they're going like this, and they're pointing at me, and I'm thinking, uh-oh, they know my family. And they did, and afterwards they come, we know you all right, we know all about your family. It's like, oh, here we go. And but I still talk to them quite a bit, we're still quite close. However, my dad had hurt their family, so he wasn't a nice man. As a teenager, I had no idea who I was. I was brought up Māori. Yet I looked in the mirror, I didn't see that looking back at me. My mates at school used to go, oh, it's all right, Tim, you're just a white Māori. But that was really confusing for me, because who am I? One time I was up at my marae. I was up there, and this is my marae, So I'm up there, and I hadn't been up there for quite some time. And there's a cousin looking across the room, doesn't know me, Speaks up. Who's that Pākehā? Loud enough for everybody to hear. Who's that Pākehā? My auntie standing behind her. Shut up, that's your cousin. And most of them remember me when I was little, and blonde hair and blue eyes running around. See, still blonde. Just got a bit of a grey tinge to it, sophistication. Young though, I started growing grey when I was young, so yeah, not that one. But when I was little, blonde hair, blue eyes, running around and stuff, and I was the pride, for my grandparents. My grandmother and grandfather there, they were really proud of me, And my aunties would always say, oh, my Timmy, pick me up in their big arms and hug me and love it, They were really, those sort of places I felt safe with them. They looked after me, When the parties got going at home, you'd find me though under the table. I'd always hang out with the aunties because often that was the safest place to be. And they would sit around inside the house playing cards. And I would be underneath, looking, playing. Because it just wasn't safe otherwise, The men and that, they'd be all getting drunk and then they'd be fighting. And just stupid. Annoying, really, just annoying. And so my aunties there. So now I'll go up there and everybody's, and because my aunties used to call me their Timmy, and they used to say, oh, there's my Timmy. So when they asked me when I was young, who are you? I would say, my Timmy, me. So then, because I was only little. So then when I got older and I would go up there and everybody would be saying, who's this guy? Who's this fellow? Who is he? And then an auntie would turn around, oh, that's my Timmy, me. And they go, oh, it's my Timmy, me. And they start talking to me like I'm this big. Oh, my Timmy, where's your glasses? Because I had these big, good glasses, Where's your glasses? Oh, you are so cute. Then they know who I am and all the stories start coming out. I'm a man now, come on, let's get on, people, just call me Timmy. My Timmy, me, it's my Timmy, me. So, that's how they remember me.